Welcome to the Rise Above Project. I'm your host, Joe Perroni. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist, champion bodybuilder, and I've been a personal trainer for about 30 years. This podcast is about helping people with their emotional, spiritual, and physical fitness. I value strength, toughness, and truth. I despise complacency, the victim mentality, and following the herd. If you find my work to be valuable, please subscribe to my channel and tell a friend.
Let me give you the Reader's Digest version of what I want to say today before I actually start the show. A study from the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology says how positively you see others is linked to how happy, enthusiastic, kind-hearted, and emotionally stable you are. Seeing others positively reveals your own positive traits. In contrast, negative perceptions of others is linked to depression and personality disorders. Have you ever considered what a mentally strong person looks and sounds like? I've been asked this question many times. Being an emotionally strong person helps the individual as well as the people around him or her. Emotional strength is a virtue that is worth striving for, even though modern society has devalued emotional strength. Actually, it's worth striving for now even more than ever just because it is being devalued. There are many aspects of emotional strength, such as being intrinsically motivated, having an internal locus of control, being open-minded, resilient, adaptable, having proper boundaries, having a healthy self-image, emotional stability, and a lot more. But today, I want to address emotional weakness in the form of being overly critical. More specifically, the act of being destructively critical, as opposed to offering a critical analysis, being discerning, or offering advice and feedback. Oscar Wilde said, "Criticism is the only reliable form of autobiography." Overly judgmental people who utilize destructive criticism are revealing symptoms of low self-esteem, fear, and a lack of emotional strength. When I was young, my parents would often repeat words of wisdom such as, "If you don't have anything nice to say, then don't say anything at all." And following that type of advice does not make someone aversive to confrontation. Emotionally strong people spend their energy on improving themselves rather than verbally degrading other people. The strongest among us utilize words minimally and highlight their actions and results to the maximum. As Teddy Roosevelt said, "Walk softly and carry a big stick." It is virtuous to compliment more and criticize less. Many business people have been rightfully instructed to sandwich a criticism between two compliments. Emotionally strong people realize that destructive criticism is an ego defense that stems from fear and feelings of inadequacy. Unfortunately, our society seems to be devolving into a place where emotional weakness and reactivity is becoming a virtue. Civil discourse is diminishing and usually devolves into name-calling and ad hominem attacks. Online trolling is a form of entertainment for those who enjoy purposefully posting offensive material to cause emotional harm to other people. We have a president who does not speak in terms of truth, nor does he express well thought out, rational points of view. Instead, he communicates by utilizing an abundance of name calling, harsh criticism, and blaming. This is an attempt to undermine and character assassinate someone without bothering to extol his own virtues. This childish type of communication, along with being relentlessly critical of others without taking any personal responsibility, is at the heart of who he is. His juvenile, unsophisticated speech is part of his appeal to the millions who support him. In this world, being critical, antagonistic, and oppositional without having any facts to make a cogent argument is becoming the norm. And now more than ever, I think it's important to remember the words of St. Augustine, who said, "Right is right, even if no one is doing it, and wrong is wrong, even if everyone is doing it. I don't think rational people need to acquiesce and devolve into dysfunctional behaviors, even if it is becoming mainstream. Not only is it relevant to always point out bad behavior, it is also necessary to reveal the dysfunctional psychological underpinnings and emotional deficiencies of such behavior. Typically, people who are destructively critical to others are trying to cope with difficult emotions inside themselves. Therefore, when an individual chooses to be critical of others, they are revealing more about themselves than they are about their targets. Critical people feel intense internal shame, usually arising from some level of feeling humiliated and or rejected. These feelings are so intense that the individual unconsciously does not own them as their own, but they can identify them and therefore project them onto other people. Other people also remind them of unfinished business in their lives, and certain situations may bring back painful memories. Of course, it is possible to be angry and critical of people for the correct reasons, but it is the mature, conscious person who looks at themselves first to determine if there is an emotional weakness in themselves that is provoking them to experience difficult feelings or to act out. Self awareness is a virtue and helps everyone to think and to act in a more productive manner. Before being critical, ask yourself who is benefiting by your words. Are you speaking to genuinely help the other person? Or are you trying to purge negative thoughts from your system? Or trying to devalue other people in an attempt to increase your own value? It's always easier for an emotionally weak person to cause pain rather than to accept their own pain. If your words are coming from a place of wisdom, empathy, and compassion, then you are acting from a position of emotional strength, and your words and your intent will be valuable. If your words are coming from a place of fear, contempt, and an attempt to control, then your words will reveal insecurity and your character deficiencies. There is a direct relationship between an individual's self esteem and inner peace and how they react to the outside world. Healthy, functional, competent people don't spend much time criticizing and offering unsolicited negative comments. And this is because they are comfortable with who they are and don't have the desire to hurt others when they perceive a threat. People who are destructively critical are very difficult to get along with. Leading relationship expert John Gottman, who claims he can predict divorces in couples with 90% accuracy, says that being critical to your partner is directly correlated to divorce. He also says that successful relationships have a 5-to-1 ratio of good experiences to bad experiences. Critical partners make the positive 5-to-1 ratio virtually impossible and contribute to other communication problems such as defensiveness, stonewalling, and contempt. Criticism always fails as a positive communication technique because it serves to belittle, calls for some level of submission, and leads to resentment. Most often, critical people have unresolved childhood trauma from being criticized rather than being corrected, and from being treated with contempt rather than with compassion. A study at Wake Forest University suggests that parents who are overly critical raise children who experience higher levels of anxiety, depression, and more dissatisfaction with life. Destructive criticism feels like abandonment, rejection, and humiliation, which is all processed in the same part of the brain that regulates our feeling of pain. This raises cortisol in the body, and over time, this can also lead to physical illness. All human beings are born with only two fears: the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. But young, defenseless, dependent children who are raised in critical environments and in validating environments learn to have many fears and many trust issues. They are not often able to realize that their caregivers have questionable parenting techniques. And this is due to children having a less than fully developed prefrontal cortex and just also needing to survive. Criticized children feel that something is wrong with who they are, and they learn to abandon themselves in an attempt to gain a secure connection with their caregivers. It is easier for a child to believe that there is something wrong with them, and therefore it may be possible to get the love they want by being and doing what their caregivers want. Self-inflicted pain is easier to manage than the unpredictable pain brought about by those who are supposed to keep you safe. It is far more hurtful to believe that their caregivers are the ones who are deficient and undeserving of love. This Stockholm Syndrome type of connection leads these children to grow into adults who continuously criticize themselves. As Karen Horney would say, in the absence of their critical parents, children will then utilize the devil's tools by being critical of themselves. When the pain of trying to rein in their inner critic becomes too difficult, they will lash out and turn to being destructively critical of others. If you have ever been in the company of a destructively critical person, you may feel that nothing you do is ever good enough. However, their behavior is motivated by them never feeling good enough about themselves. Therefore, one could say that those who look for silver linings and for the positive aspects of people are the individuals who are the most happy with themselves and their lives. It is my personal and professional opinion that patience, empathy, and compassion is needed when dealing with overly critical people. Although they may be difficult to deal with, I also believe that people who are in pain cause pain to others. In order to stop the circular causation of pain, it is necessary to intervene in a productive way. But then again, maybe I feel this way because I'm a therapist. But I would never make the decision for somebody else to tell them to stay in a relationship with someone who is destructively critical. If you know someone, or you are that someone who is destructively critical, I would suggest professional help to process the unresolved childhood traumas that lead to being critical. And if that sounds too painful in the moment, you can still start now from a behavioral point of view. And here are a few simple but not easy recommendations. Number one, discuss behaviors. Do not attack someone's character. Number two, seek to encourage. Do not devalue or belittle. Number three, seek a solution. Don't pin blame. Number four, be collaborative. Don't coerce or control. Number five, seek to understand. Do not accuse. Number six, pay more attention to what is right rather than finding fault. I hope you enjoyed today's show. I am Joseph Perroni from the Rise Above Project. If you have any questions, you can reach me at 702-556-9958. Please subscribe and tell a friend. Thank you.